Hey everybody, Stephen Bogran here from Pro Physique. Today I want to talk about details. What's up everyone? I hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. I hope 2022 is starting off strong for everyone. One of the things I really wanted to talk about today, and one thing that I see as being a kind of constant in a lot of people that I work with, is this detail orientation. And I get it. There's a lot of things that are thrown at us. There's a lot of things. You have to pay attention to this. If you're not doing this, you're doing fat loss wrong. What about X, Y, Z? And you're like, oh my gosh, well, what do I need to do? And there's the rings that do your sleep and your step count and your heart rate, and how do I do this and what do I do that? And so there's just this plethora of information and details that are being thrown at us, and say, man, Stephen, it's hard to navigate sometimes. And even those of us who are more advanced, who have been in the realm a long time, who maybe have the education, like, we still get caught up in this. So it doesn't really seem to matter what level you're in terms of fitness, health, physique, whatever it might be. We all can become susceptible to this details kind of mindset. Where we want to rip our friggin' hair out. And so it's important to talk about what matters. What matters, because do details matter? Yes, details absolutely matter. However, are we focusing on the correct details that matter to us? And are we focusing on those details in the correct order? And this is what I find is the biggest determinant for individual success, is focusing on the details that matter most first. If we start focusing on details that matter less, what tends to happen is we get so caught up in those that we miss the forest for the trees, so to speak. What ends up happening is we're so focused on maybe some more advanced, possibly for some of us intermediate details, that may not be as applicable to us as some of the more basic details and fundamentals and foundations of what we're doing. And again, even those of us who are more advanced sometimes need to get back to basics in terms of what we're doing and how we're handling business. And so the basics, the biggest details that I think matter for the vast majority of us are obviously going to be the calories in and calories out. What is our food intake? What is our exercise output? And how does that look? Quite often, that's the easiest way to really just get a good foundation and to make progress. Now, that might not always work, but that's when we get to the next thing, right? So the beginning, the foremost thing is, what am I eating? Am I getting enough protein? What does my carbohydrate intake look like? What do my fat intakes look like, right? What is going on there? You have to have this base knowledge of what's going on, what's going in, to even know what's the next step. And then we also want to know what's going out. Am I doing an hour of cardio? Am I doing no cardio? What's maybe my non-exercise activity, like my just day-to-day stuff that I do? Walking the dogs. Do I do foot walking to work, right? Do I ride the subway? Do I ride the bus? Do I drive? How sedentary is my lifestyle? And how many times a week am I exercising, and what does that look like, right? That's always where I start. Because if you're doing nothing, the first step is to start doing something. And it becomes simplistic at that point. So the question now is not, what details do I pay attention to, but where am I at, and what's the biggest thing that's next? One of the big things that I like to look at, first and foremost, is one, our calorie intake, right? So yes, what does that look like? What does our expenditure look like? And then what is our goals and our realistic expectations for those goals? But within that, there are some things that are important. Am I getting enough protein? Particularly speaking, this means a lot for anybody that has any kind of lean tissue and physique goals. Anybody who wants to put on muscle, lose body fat, be like semi-yoked, whatever it might be, your protein intake matters, okay? Now, is our protein intake good? And are we still having issues? Okay, Well, are we getting complete proteins? Are we making sure that we're getting enough of the essential amino acids and what that means, right? So each detail builds upon the next, right? It builds into the next thing. We wouldn't want to just skip straight to algebra without ever learning multiplication, addition, subtraction, and the likes, right? And we definitely can't forget about our PEMDAS, right? Yeah, it's the worst. Math. So it's very important that we understand the mastery of the first thing before we step into the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth things. What I see happen oftentimes is people are looking for this magic pill, this specific answer. Oftentimes that will happen when they're in a period of great stress or their sleep's bad, right? And so we're looking at these other things, we're like, man, why isn't this working for me? And I'm doing this XYZ thing, but my A, B, C's are all way off. So I would encourage you, look first and foremost at your consistency factors. Are we paying attention to our food? Are we paying attention to our exercise? If the answer is yes, then maybe we start to look at the next things, right? Maybe we then start to look at what does our lifestyle look like? Is our lifestyle activity a factor? Is it up and down and all around, right? Is it consistent? What's our sleep look like? Are we getting enough sleep? And are we getting quality sleep? And is that something we can impact and improve? And whether that be, stress management techniques, meditation before bed, things like blue light blockers, sleep health techniques, making sure that we're cutting off caffeine intake early enough, cool. Because if we're not getting enough sleep, that can absolutely have an impact on things. Okay, well, we're training, but maybe what does our training look like? Why don't we take a deeper look into that training, okay? Same thing. Calories look good. What do our macros look like? Are we getting enough carbs to fuel training? Are we getting good food choices, right? Okay, well, I have a hard time being consistent with my calories and I want to lose weight. Well, you hit on the one thing that's really important, that's the consistency with calories. How do we improve that consistency first and foremost to set the baseline and the foundation for the next thing, which is to lose weight? Quite often we get ahead of ourselves in this kind of fitness lifestyle mindset in terms of wanting to be where we want to be today. And that's a very hard place to be because I can tell you 10 years later, I still don't know if I'm quite where I want to be, if that makes sense. The idea of the fitness lifestyle is that we enjoy the process, we find things we like, and we promote that and we get better and we kind of continue that throughout a lifetime. So those goals, those details, those things are always shifting and changing. But the main thing today is to say, hey, where am I? Where am I? What matters most? Because if you are good on A, B, C, and D, perfect. We can look at E and then F and then G. But for some of us, we need to start at A. And there definitely becomes a point where I find that most people get too caught up in the details, where the details are now doing them more harm than good because of the fact that it's stressing them out so much. It becomes so overbearing that they're now not able to manage it all, right? We all have what I would call this like kind of bandwidth of attention, time, and energy. And so we have to be selective and intentional about how we use our time, our energy, and our intent. At some point, we will pass what is within our bandwidth, where it now becomes from an accountability to an obsession. And I think that's really one of the big things that we see for most people when we talk about what's healthy and what's not healthy, is it's healthy to have accountability for our finances. It's healthy to have accountability for our food intakes and our exercise. It might not be healthy to be obsessive about those things to where now these other facets of life are being overlooked or not truly taken care of. So we want to make sure that we're doing our best to have that more moderate kind of place where we're accountable and we care, but we don't care so much that we let it just ruin everything else. And a lot of people get caught up in the minutia. And when we get caught up in the minutia, a lot of times we overlook our simplistic, basic things when it comes to the process. Like making sure we're recovering well, making sure we're not always sore, making sure we're managing our stress, that our sleep, right? All these normal like base health things that we need to function as a human. but that we also need to function as a high-level athlete as well. And so it's important that we don't forget the basics, missing the forest for the tree of details. So that's really what today's video is about. I hope it helps. I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great day. Or don't. I ain't here to tell you how to live.